Hi everyone, this is Angela Mickey, and in this video I'm going to show you some details about data after your students have taken a quiz or an assessment. So we're going to click on quizzes. And then I'm going to scroll through my quizzes here and I'm going to find one that my students just took. So Earth Structure Unit Test. Now, this is a screen that you see after you've made the quiz or test in Canvas. Notice that it's published. What we're going to do now, however, is we're going to go to Quiz Statistics. So you'll see a couple things. First thing I see at the top is my overall average class score, high score, low score, standard deviation, average time it took them to take the test. Now I can filter this by class. So I can say, well, what did my second block class look like versus my third block class versus everything else. And so I can see that my second block class, their average score was a 90%. Now I can scroll down and also look at individual question data. So my first question, which of the following was not part of the geosphere, I had 11 students in second block get it right, but that was only 48% of my class. Now, this is not normal considering that I had a class average score of 90, so I know that maybe this is something that I didn't prepare them as well as I should have. Also notice that these 6 respondents, I can click on that and get individual names, and I can see exactly who missed what question. So the next question, 100%, 96%, and then, oh, I have a 52%. So yet again, this is something that I will want to review over with my students again to make sure that they are well aware that a tornado is not a geologic activity. Now for me, I put this on the screen and I go over it whole class together with them. I specifically ask students to tell me, what was their thinking, what was their process, specifically on the questions that were lower. We do applaud. We have like a special cheer that they do when they get 100%. It's just a good way to get them to reflect on their thinking and their test taking skills and how they do things particularly. So this is just kind of your quick stop for your data. Now, all of the data that is used to produce these graphs and these charts and things, you can get the Excel version by clicking on these 2 things. I don't ever do that. I don't have a need to go back in and run my own data. I just let Canvas do it for me. So that is step 1 of looking at your data. So now the second way to go back and look at your data is through the gradebook. So I've got that on my screen right now, and you can see that the labels for each assignment are right here. You can tell that this, by the way, these checks and X's, this was complete or incomplete, the way that it was graded. This is a test, this is a test, this is my Flashback Friday quizzes out of 5. By the way, this is averaged, so they had 3 attempts, and the Canvas takes the average of all 3 attempts. So that shows up in all these odd decimals, just so you know. That's why that's like that. Now, what I want to show you specifically is this export function. So we are going to export my CSV file. So now that I have my exported data into Google Sheets, and all I did to get it into Google Sheets was I just dragged and dropped my downloaded file into Google Drive, and then I can open it straight into Google Sheets instead of opening it in Excel on my computer or in Numbers here on my Mac. So now that I have my data, what I want to do is normally what I do for each time I export this, I'm going to get rid of some of these columns. So if I don't want to see this, that's not specifically what I'm looking for, I'm just going to delete those columns. this is my earth structure test that we were looking at earlier. This one is. So I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to delete that column. And then I'm going to delete all the rest of this. Now I have specifically just my test. Now, here's what I want you to notice. See how this says section 3, 4, 3, 1, 1, 3. This is not sorted at all. This is my students alphabetically. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of sorting. So when I click my rectangle here in the top corner, that's going to select all for me. And then I'm going to go Data, Sort Range. My data does have headers. I want it first by section. And then I want it by my earth structure test. And I want it Z to A. I want it best score to lowest score. Now, all these NA are my kids that took the modified version of my test. So here we go with this starts block 2. And block 2 took my regular test. So I've got the names hidden over here. That's why this column starts with E. But I can tell exactly which students are, say, my top 8 students, because I have 8 tables in my classroom, and I'm going to put these 8 students at those 8 tables when I make my seating chart. Then my next group, and then my next group. So you can see that right here I've gone to, this is third block. So I'm back to 30 questions correct, which is 100. And then I have all of my numbers directly in order. So in the fourth block, they as well took the modified test, so their data is not on here. Now I would do this with both of those columns. I wouldn't have deleted the modified test, but I was just showing you how I kind of run things just to get these numbers nice and even and sorted and allow me to know who my high flyers are, who do I need my table leaders to be, who specifically needs some extra help, who do I want to make sure that I am keeping an eye on. Specifically for review or my next block, etc. So, and that is what I do with my data. Thanks.